Hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is my awesome friend,
Phil, Philmy, and Parrish.
And that was Benjamin saying hello too. Yes. He is my awesome son. One of my many awesome sons. Well, yes, I know. Okay. Oh, yeah. Phil has it easy. He's just got the one kid, man. Living the dream. Okay. No, I love both my children. They were both wonderfully intended bits of joy in my life. So I will not ever say ill to that. And my youngest son, Tristan, gave me a Wolverine for the podcast. So I'd have a little bit of superhero paraphernalia as we worked tonight. Because, of course, one child has this whole man cave with all the artistry, and it's like, oh, here's a book I'm not even going to read. I'm just going to frame it and put it on the wall.
No, those aren't books. They're paper. They're just like posters. No.
Just signed cover art, and the things you do with the disposable income you have when you have only one child.
I only have one signed cover, and that was free. It was a gift. Thank you from someone I interviewed. Thank you very much.
Well, that was pretty awesome of that person to do that for you. Okay, I was gonna pick on your man cave because I have such envy.
See, if everyone else could pick on my man cave too, if you follow us on YouTube, and you could see this video. You could see this on video anytime you wanted to.
Yes. That was an important thing. Where did I hear it? Oh, yes, from the Incredible Hulk last week, or the other day, about the differentiation between jealousy and envy. Because it was the harder they fall was the episode. It's the episode where David Banner gets basically crippled in a car accident.
Ah, yes.
But then when he turns into the Hulk, of course, the regenerative powers of the Hulk restore his walking. And he makes friends with this nice guy. And you can hear this all on the Gamma Cast. It'll be about a week after this posts. Maybe 2 weeks after this posts. We can't live tweet the Hulk anymore, which is sad because MeTV canceled it. But we can still talk about it. And the idea he puts at the end, spoilers for a 40-year-old Incredible Hulk episode. Well, 30. Yeah, almost 40. 1981. Yeah. A very old Incredible Hulk episode. The gentleman who befriends him, who's sort of the the sports guy who lost his legs, but still is fighting hard to make his life better. He says to David, he says, I'm real jealous you got your legs back. He says, well, not jealous, envious. And the thing about envy is I wish I had that. Jealousy is I wish you didn't. And so I'm not jealous of Phil's man cave. I'm just envious of it. It is a sight to behold, and you see it in person, man. It is worth it. It is worth it. If you want to make the trip out to Western Pennsylvania and see Phil's man cave, it's $6 a head to get the tour. Highly recommend it. See where the magic of Capes and Lunatics first was born. It's going to be a national monument someday. You mark my words.
Do you appreciate the irony that you learned that lesson from on TV David Banner, who at times is the green-eyed monster? He taught you about jealousy?
Yes. But although it wasn't David who did it, it was one of his mere mortal friends, as he was passing through, as he always is. Okay, Phil, we have viewer mail.
That's right. From our old friend, Kenneth Smyson.
Kenny. Raise me glass to you, Kenny.
I guess he was inspired by our talk of HydraCap these last several weeks. He says, hey, guys, all this talk of HydraCap in the comics is very intriguing. My pitch to Marvel Studios is to have Steve Rogers become HydraCap in Phase 4. It'd probably be best as its own movie and not span multiple movies, but I think Chris Evans would like to have it mixed up. This could be a double dose of awesome if the movie is titled Black Widow. Imagine it.
Ooh.
Act 1, Black Panther enlists Black Widow on a mission that he can't undertake himself. She gathers Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Falcon, and one or two other lower-powered heroes to carry out the mission. As they pursue the mysterious threat, they discover it's Steve Rogers who backstabs them and beats them, saying, "Hail Hydra," as Widow is left behind. Act 2. Widow's team investigates and pursues them. At the end of the second act, another major battle occurs, but when Widow gets into a fight with Steve, she sees his face have an odd reaction and realize he is not really Steve. Act 3. The big authority people don't believe her. Gotta love those pesky Sokovian Accords. So she heads out alone to find the real Steve, while the rest of the team, led by Winter Soldier, is trying to take down Hydra Cap. For the final fight, it is revealed the villain was Red Skull, still played by Chris Evans. Real Cap is freed, shows up with Black Widow, and defeat Red Skull. Good guys win. Considering Hulk appears in Thor and Iron Man appears in Spider-Man, having major characters co-star in the solo movies is probably going to happen more and more. As far as Red Skull goes, I think he should be brought back but played by a different actor each time we see him. It could be explained through some mostly realistic science thing he goes through, changes when impersonating people. He probably uses a hydrogen-based gas since that's the most scientifically accurate thing. Wonder Woman joke there. Haha. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Well, he's paying attention to you, Charlie.
Hey, I'm glad to have loyal listeners like Kenneth. Okay, a couple points there. First off, Kenneth, do me a favor. I want you to go to Writers Guild of America and go register this before someone steals your brilliant idea, because that is a really brilliant idea. I love this. Writers Guild of America. I mean, you can also do an actual copyright thing, but it's a little more expensive and it's federal and it's a lot of work. Writers Guild will actually give you a legal standing that say, this is my brilliant idea. I came up with it, and I am copywriting it first. So get to your local WGA website, either East or West, and go register your brilliant idea. Because that actually, I really like that idea. It's actually pretty cool. The idea of the Red Skull coming back, played by Chris Evans, is pretty awesome. And, I'm sure Chris Evans would like to get his hands a little dirty as an actor because, what actor doesn't like to play a villain? It's like writing a villain. As a writer, you always want to write a villain because villains are the most fun to write because you get to justify all the bad, horrible thoughts you have. And I think that's what, isn't that what fantasy is all about?
I mean, you could basically bring the Red Skull back in any form because when's the last time we saw him? Captain America, the First Avenger, and he disappears in a blast from the Cosmic Cube, or as they call it in the MCU, the Tesseract. So, I mean, he could have been time traveled. He could have been thrown in the Captain America's body. I mean, you could do basically anything.
To be fair, we call the Tesseract a Cosmic Cube, but it is merely a cube.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know that it is a cosmic cube, and honestly, we haven't had an introduction of a cosmic cube yet. So it is entirely possible that a cosmic cube may at some point get introduced as that great wish machine, invisible force field filled with a pocket universe and what that might do. Hey, but we do have video tonight. Sorry. It's okay. No, I'm just letting you know. No problem.
Don't hit him with a frying pan or anything. We are on video.
Yes, I know. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, I know. I showed them this is Tristan. He's my producer. This was his Wolverine. Yeah, he wanted to give us a little dose of X-Men.
See?
Yes. Would you get the Wolverine?
For Christmas.
You got that one for Christmas?
No, for my birthday.
For your birthday? Oh, very nice. Okay. It's okay. Yes, I know.
I can't wait for Christmas.
I know you can't wait for Christmas.
See?
It'll be here soon enough.
Follow us on Capes and Lunatics YouTube page. You can meet Tristan and see the Wolverine, which is a shade of blue. I don't know if I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's probably an old 90s toy. I'm guessing it came from his Uncle Michael, who was a young child back then, and it wasn't from Uncle Michael. Who was it from? Oh, or maybe it's just one of Uncle Grandpa's toys. His grandfather does flea markets and has like tons of those little. He buys them for 10 cents, sells them for $1. Okay, Ben. Yes, that's my older son, Ben. We don't wear clothes in my family. I do apologize. It's an old tradition going back. Oh yes, and Tristan has a fidget spinner. That's the thing for me, fidget spinners. People are getting so mad about fidget spinners. I don't understand it. For years, I've been reading online, people getting mad. Tristan, go play with a fidget spinner over there. People complaining about young kids today playing on screens and electronics. Kids start playing on what is essentially a handheld top, and suddenly everyone's mad about that. I just think people don't want kids to have fun. That's my honest. I think people just want kids to be miserable. And it's like, sorry, kids are not miserable. They always have fun no matter what you give them. Exactly. Okay, let's get on to comic books. Enough about my crazy domestic life. Although, hey, who knows, man? This is like reality television now. Now we got video. And it's not the comic books anymore. Now we gotta play to the crowd. So there we go. There's my crazy domesticity for you.
Keeping up with the answers.
It's not that hard, kids. Let me tell you. Okay. Getting back to Kenneth Smyson's thing, he makes a good point, which is actually something I wanted to mention about, the heroes co-starring in other films and heroes coming into other people's films. And of course, we did see recently that, according to Chadwick Boseman at least, Natasha Romanoff and Steven Rogers will be showing up in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least that's the suggestion. I mean, theoretically, it could have been Infinity War. Because shortly after that, they did confirm Black Panther for Infinity War, but I think that's meant to be a tease for Black Panther. And honestly, it makes sense that Steve Rogers and Natasha would be in Black Panther, which is an interesting thing. I mean, obviously, we all want to see Captain America and Black Widow do more work together. I think Black App, as we'll call it. Or Cap Widow, maybe. I don't know how we want to phrase it, but I think they do make a great team, and I do love seeing them together. I hope they don't overshadow Black Panther in his own film, but I think they did a lot to say this is a very, or not a diverse cast. This is a very Afrocentric cast, which is important for a film set in freaking Africa. So I guess we're going to say that Cap and Natasha are the token Europeans in. Well, no, it makes sense. No, I mean, no, you laugh, and you call it token, but I call it token, but yeah, but it's this idea that they're in a world where this is an African country.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the people in African countries tend to be African because it's their country, especially a place like Wakanda. Which is, well, ask Mom to put in the passcode. Which is of course an African nation never conquered, never that has never suffered under the boot of colonialism. Perfect sense that it would be a mostly African film with a couple of white guy villains, and then we have to have a couple token white guy heroes, of which we have Cap and Natasha. Feel a little bad for Sebastian Stan in that mix. It's like, it's not important for us to take Stan out of cold storage for this episode, right?
I mean, by the end of I was going to say maybe by the end of Black Panther, maybe he comes out of, cryogenic, whatever, but I'm trying to remember what comes first, the first part of Infinity War or Black Panther, because unless he's not in the first part of it, I don't know.
Doesn't Black Panther? No, Black Panther comes after Homecoming, doesn't it? Because it goes Ragnarok. No, because Homecoming, Ragnarok.
It's not this year. It's not this year because I think the only things this year are Homecoming and then Ragnarok's in November. So
no, I think Black Panther is like the first. That's like the late winter movie for Marvel. I think it goes Black Panther, Infinity War,
okay,
Ant-Man, Wasp. Well, then I think we do Captain Marvel, right?
So I think there's at least one between Infinity War 1 and whatever part 2 is called. But no, that works if Black Panther comes first, because maybe at the end of Black Panther they wake up Winter Soldier so he can be in Infinity War, because everyone's going to be in Infinity War.
Yeah. Well, Phil Coulson is, so there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Phil's going to be there, man. And Thor's going to say, "Son of Cole, glad to see you're not dead anymore." Because for Thor, he's a god. Yeah. Oh, yes. People die, come back. Yes.
Another friend from work.
Yes. I do like the idea that, I think Asgardians should be pretty cool with people coming back from the dead, because not for nothing, they're extra dimensional and they know people. For what it's worth, it's like, 1940s Kree technology that brought Phil Coulson back. So it makes perfect sense that, like, oh yeah, that bringing people back from the dead thing. Yes, I remember that one. Yes. But moving right along.
But sorry. Speaking of Black Panther, before we move on, you saw the poster today. And then I guess the trailer premieres. What is it? Is there NBA game on tonight? There's something on tonight then where the trailer is supposed to premiere, which I'm assuming 2 seconds later it'll be on the internet. But as of this recording, it's going to be tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have to watch the Gotham, because tomorrow morning we're doing our Big Capes and Lunatics podcast, where we're going to talk about that. Talk about ISIS, the good Muslim ISIS, not to be confused with the good Hydra, but ISIS is coming to Legends of Tomorrow. Something I found and I want to talk about, and Phil said, we'll talk about that in Capes and Lunatics. Sorry, Charlie.
I mean, if you want to talk some here.
You do.
No, if you want to talk some here.
No, there's not that much to say. We don't know that much, except for the fact that I think it's interesting that the CW DC universe is now just actively trolling entire political groups now. Because either it's going to be the far right in America that's, how can you have a superhero called ISIS who's Muslim, or actual, the Muslims out in the Middle East going, out there they take our name. Honestly, I think it's more to troll the far right in America than just to troll people who don't watch TV.
I just wonder if it comes down to the simple fact, like I know that in the movies they have plans for Captain Marvel and Black Adam. I just wonder if maybe if Legends wanted like Mary Marvel or something, and then the movies were like, no, you can have her. You can have they're like ISIS, close enough.
There you go. That's a very real possibility. Although, for what it's worth, they clearly don't care in the CW verse, because they have a Superman.
Mm-hmm.
They have a Bruce Wayne, if not a Batman. It's like all this stuff is out there.
They have a Flash, yeah.
Yeah, Although now Justice League doesn't. So
what?
Well, didn't what's his name walk away from it? Say he's not going to do Justice League now, like halfway through shooting.
I didn't hear this. I know the Flash movie's been losing directors left and right, but
no, I thought the actor wasn't doing Flash anymore. Okay, maybe I misheard. I don't follow the DCEU. I'm sorry. The DCCU.
Keep talking. I'll do a Google search.
No. Well, no. Honestly, I probably heard it from you. So if I'm mistaken, then what's his name? Who's playing the Flash?
Oh, in the movies?
Yeah.
Is that Ezra Miller?
Ezra Miller? Okay. Then someone else. Okay. Because for some reason the name Grant Gustin's coming into my head, but
he's the TV Flash. Yes.
Okay. So I don't know, man. I could be wrong, but I heard someone was walking away from the Flash, but probably just another director. And who cares about those guys?
Yeah, they've been losing a ton of directors.
They're gonna get Jenkins to direct it. Jenkins and Whedon are just gonna take over the DCEU.
Although
honestly,
I saw an article today. They were saying they didn't tie up Patty Jenkins, because they didn't. I don't know. I guess they didn't. I don't know if they didn't have faith in Wonder Woman, but now that everyone's clamoring for her to come back, they're like, man, she's in a good position, to ask for
she is
money and
Yeah, and you know what? For what it's worth, it's she ought to take that payday, because quite frankly, honestly, it doesn't cost you much to tie people up. That's Marvel's thing, is they tie people up for like decades.
Mm-hmm.
Say, we want you to always be here, Scarlett Johansson, and so we're gonna try to do an 8-picture deal at the exact same deal you get.
Well, I think the article was just saying there's like, I guess Warner's wasn't thinking about a Wonder Woman 2. They didn't, they really didn't think that was going to be their monster smash hit. So they were already on to like thinking about Batgirl and whatever other movie they wanted to push. So,
which tells you why there's a great meme out there, and I love it. Which is it's what is it? The Rolling Stone cover, which says Wonder Woman is unstoppable, and someone like types below it, I think this film sets a teaches children bad lessons, and and someone snipes back and says, what, that women can be warriors, that war is bad? It says, no, that DC is going to produce quality films. Let's be honest here. That is a real concern here for this. It's like, yes.
I mean, I'm sure they love the money, but yeah, they're probably like, oh man, now they're going to expect stuff from us, quality. Oh.
Well, like I've said, Wonder Woman, it's a great film. It's a good film,
mm-hmm.
Wonderful film. I've actually been debating going to see it again. Which when my kids don't want to see it, it's very rare that I'll see a movie twice. But I'm thinking, maybe I should go see it again. It was a really good film. But the fact of the matter is that I think that there's a lot of qualities to it that make it a good film that don't necessarily move picture to picture. And let me give you an example. Because as I've said, like what I think the core of Wonder Woman is the idea that war is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't strike you as radical until you realize how radical it is. Because of course we live in a culture that is very warlike. As George Carlin would say, Americans are a warlike people because we really like war.
Bombing brown people.
Well, honestly, we've bombed more than our share of white people too.
True.
Just ask Dresden, man. We the first 2 times it was mostly white people we were bombing. We didn't get into bombing brown people and until honestly, bombing brown people is very. First we bombed a lot of white people and a couple of yellow people. Then we started, first we just bombed white people. Because, we were segregationists. So we bombed the white people in Europe. And then after we're done bombing the white people in Europe, we said, well, next time we'll expand out. We'll go to Asia. Then I guess we got a taste for it because then we started bombing other places in Asia. And now it's all the Middle East all the time.
See rest of the world. America is not racist. We'll bomb anyone.
No, well, we are racist. But we're more sexist. Always remember that. That's we had President Obama, but not President Clinton, because when it came down to it, we would rather vote for an orange person of color than a white woman. Okay, yes. Tangerine Americans. It's don't judge them. You don't judge every Tangerine American by the one Tangerine American you had a bad experience with. So moving right along. Yeah. I don't always want to get political, but Phil brings it out on me. Phil is just he's an instigator.
Don't blame me. I've seen your Facebook page. It's not me.
Oh no. But that's for my friends, not my adoring public. But no, so here's the thing. So here's what I actually wanted to get to about Wonder Woman. So it has this radical notion that war is bad. But you can't do that more than once. Because then people get mad because not for nothing because we are a warlike society. People want that battle and that war and that violence in this thing. And nobody wants Wonder Woman in, for what it's worth, in that very Linda Carter way, that Linda Carter Wonder Woman, where she is like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't just be murdering everyone. Maybe we should actually, I don't like you people, but I'm not going to stoop to your level. Whereas Wonder Woman maybe will stoop to that level. Gal Gadot Wonder Woman may well be one that would stoop there. And then once you start, you can't go back to the war is bad thing because then you just have a very whiny hero, And also, wars aren't as bad as World War One. And for what it's worth, maybe that is like, and especially, here's what I was going to say. They really should have set the next Wonder Woman in World War II. Because it is just as horrific as World War One, but a little more subtle in its horrors. World War One was just really blatant horror all the time. With various poison gases and this. There were actual supervillains in World War One. There was I forget his name. I want to say it was Farber, but I'm not certain. But he was your basic steampunk supervillain. Designed gas weapons for the Nazis. The Nazis for the German World War One army. Because not the Nazis. He was actually Jewish, and actually wound up dying in a concentration camp. killed by the gases that he actually invented, which is like so much crazy, horrible irony. You don't even want to get into it. But, you hear discussions of him and, he's like, got the whole steampunk fur coat and goggles as he has his great big gas tanks to murder people. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, World War I is a horrific war. World War II is possibly all the more horrific, especially, man, I tell you, putting Wonder Woman at Hiroshima, maybe trying to stop it and realizing she can't, that's something to make a superhero say, okay, I'm done with you people. You know what I mean?
That would be a good, remember how you're saying, well, what's she been doing for the last 90 years? That would be a good reason why.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, but and the idea that maybe she finds out about her, maybe she does fight in World War II, and then she finds out about, Hiroshima, and she says, I will not let you, and she goes to stop it, and she goes there, and maybe she leaps, and she catches the bomb, and then it explodes, and throws her, because, of course, she's Wonder Woman. She can survive a nuclear bomb. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thor survived a nuclear bomb. Clearly Wonder Woman's going to survive a nuclear bomb. And just, you ever remember that when they would use Thor for nuclear bomb tests back in the 60s?
Yeah.
That's how we met Zarko, the Tomorrow Man.
I remember Zarko. But I know, do you think the strength of Wonder Woman, though, is it that it was kind of its own separate thing, because it was a period piece? Because, I mean, Batman v Superman, among its many other problems, is DC was rushing to get their own, unified universe like Marvel had. So they're like, let's throw everything in here now and, get everyone in here. And then Suicide Squad was obviously their attempt to build another franchise. Because it was set back in the past, Wonder Woman was its own standalone thing. And I think that made it stronger than those other ones.
Well, and here's what I'll tell you about Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad's success is that in both cases you have things that go against what DC wants. Because it does seem that DC wants a very boys club universe. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say, oh, Marvel's so progressive, because they're not. But it does seem that DC, as much flack as Perlmutter gets, I kind of get the feeling that DC is a little bit more so. Like I've said, the fact that DC, who has as one of their triumvirate going in, Wonder Woman, didn't open with Wonder Woman. It's like here's what I'll tell you. After the difficulties with Superman, Man of Steel, they probably should have gone in and said, well, let's see what we can do with Wonder Woman. Either bring her into the Superman franchise. Honestly, I think that might have been something better. Is to have Wonder Woman and have a Wonder Woman Superman matchup. A Superman versus Wonder Woman story might even be good, and sort of fight, and then you have sexual tension, and maybe she teaches him to be a better warrior, and he finds some balance between them. There's things you could do, but I think that they kept Wonder Woman out. I mean, basically gave her like 4 lines in Batman v Superman.
It just always seems to me, I mean, these are all businesses, and it just seems to me that they didn't have faith in Wonder Woman. But I mean, like you're saying with Batman v Superman, it seemed like they kind of knew what they had with her, because it's, like I said, I think they played her like Spider-Man and Black Panther and Civil War. They were like, well, look at this character. You love this character. Well, stay tuned till next year. Come back to the theater. Well, they're gonna have their own solo movie.
Yeah, like I said, except that they wasted a lot of time to introduce every other Justice League member, and that could have been pretty good. I don't know. Actually, maybe even building a story time.
Well, that's what I said. They were rushing to build their unified universe. They're like, oh, well, Wonder Woman's coming, Aquaman's coming, Flash is coming, Cyborg's coming.
Well, even going right to Doomsday, it's like, let's just throw everything on the table. You know what they should have done? I mean, just maybe I'm just too nostalgic, but they should have had Lex do a Superman 1, steal some nuclear bombs, some missiles that went awry, and you could do it a little more subtly than Lex Luthor in the movie in the original Superman did, but you could have that basic idea there that things are going, that you could have, you could have just had Lex be, and let me just say this, you could have just had Lex be the villain.
Lex could have been just the only villain in that movie, even if you give him like the green armored battle suit or whatever you want to do, whatever, make Lex the only villain there. The first Justice League should have been the whole Death of Superman movie, the whole Justice League trying to take out Doomsday, and then, Superman sacrifices himself instead of trying to jam it into that last part of Batman v Superman.
And of course, now, where do you go with the Superman story? Because we just did Doomsday.
Exactly.
You could do Darkseid, and yes, Darkseid's coming, which is like
that whole Darkseid and Apocalypse thing is coming, yeah.
Even Fantastic Four didn't do Galactus until the second film. That's all I'm saying.
You want cosmic stuff for Superman. Bring in Brainiac.
Brainiac is a great. Well, here's what I'll say. I think that Lex Luthor is a great villain for Superman, just because. I would, when Lex puts on the green armor, I always feel it's beneath Lex. I think Lex is far more powerful when he's just facing Superman as the guy 6 steps ahead. And honestly, that makes a great thing with Batman if you even have Lex being ahead of Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have to go with Martha.
Yeah. Why'd you say that name?
No. Let's just.
But
it will never be good. It will never be good.
It's just the armor to spark to my head. You play Lex, against Batman and Superman, and you make him they should have made him like the dark Tony Stark or something.
Well, yeah, and not for nothing. I think they kind of wanted to do that. I think the guy they had playing Lex was maybe a little too goofy. He got a little too jokery. To be honest with you.
Yeah, he did, and he seemed a little too young for the part. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
if anything, Lex should seem either the same age as Superman and Batman, or just a little bit older.
Yeah, well, there's lots of ways you can play Lex, and you can even do a young redheaded Lex. You can do extra dimensional Lex as the I believe the first Lex Luthor was actually supposed to be from another dimension. And he was in a super blimp kind of thing. Hey, there's lots of ways you can do. There's lots of ways you can do Lex and make him a really great character. I don't think this was one of them. And not the least of which just that apparently there was another Lex before him who was a more traditional Lex, but now we're just throwing that off, man, because we're the cool hip Lex. We're millennial Lex. And it's like we're the Lex millennials. It's like
you're right. That was one of people's big complaints is that he seemed kind of goofy and jokery. That actor might have worked. Like I said, he seemed young to me, but if he just would have stayed completely serious and
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like playing Lex mentally unhinged. That's not good for Lex. But we're dwelling on a movie that's like 4 movies ago. We have to move on. And we're just ripping on DC so bad. And you shouldn't kick a man when he's down. My nephew, who's an arch conservative, he was posting some pro-Trump post-Comey memes, and I was like, I just responded, it's unsportsmanly to kick a man when he's down. And that's all I'll say about that.
Well, those DC movies are kind of getting up because they had a victory with Wonder Woman. I think that, the reviews and the money are, I saw an illustration that was supposed to, it says the state of the DCE right now. And it's like a picture of Wonder Woman with Batman and Superman on her back. She's like, I got this.
Yeah. Well, but not for, and this is what I'm going to say. I think DC maybe is learning the lesson of Marvel if they learned it. Because what Marvel's lesson was that you can't rely on your superhero to open the movie. Because Iron Man was not a big hero before Robert Downey Jr. made him a big hero. And we know who Iron Man was. He was one of the big Avengers, but he was no Superman. Iron Man was not. Hulk was a bigger hero than Iron Man. And of course, the Hulk movie didn't do as well as Iron Man. And both Hulk movies didn't do as well as Iron Man. And that's something you have to understand. Hulk is a bigger hero than Iron Man. But Iron Man is the better movie because Iron Man is more complex and a deeper story and so much more going into it.
Because it's like it's a human story because without the armor it's just a guy. I mean, a brilliant guy, but just a man.
Yes, and well, and for what it's worth, the Hulk can be a good story, but then you focus on Bruce Banner,
Yeah,
or David Banner,
like,
and the TV show.
Everyone's like, "Where's the Hulk?"
You know what? You'll get your Hulk. Twice an episode. At best is what you got a Hulk in the 70s show. You don't get a lot of Hulk.
In the movies they want to see him a little more, and it's like unless you go with like an intelligent Hulk, like a gray Hulk or something, it's like, well, how much can you do with the Hulk?
Yeah, well, exactly. And you know what? Just to be gauche or crude, there are adult films that have plot, and there are adult films that are just 5-second scenes, 30-second scenes, 40-minute scenes, whatever you need to get you through.
So you're saying the Hulk? You're saying the Hulk is the adult film of the MCU?
Yeah. Well, superhero battles are the adult portion of adult films.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's like, oh, let's go see somebody punch each other. But not for nothing, you don't want to watch a 2-hour porno of someone punching someone or of someone just doing what they do. You don't want to see that because honestly, 2 hours in, you're like, yeah, I was done with this, 59 minutes ago. Honestly, it's like, so the idea of the Hulk as your money shot, nomenclature, that's what he should be. It's about him worrying about the Hulk. You can open with a Hulk, you can close with a Hulk, you can maybe have a Hulk in the middle because it is a 2-hour film. But you don't want to be having it be the Hulk all the time having fights. You want to have your big boss battle, of course. But, the thing with the Hulk, what makes the Hulk interesting isn't the Hulk, but the interplay between Banner and the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was why the Hulk was a crashing failure. And that's the thing. That's the thing to always remember. Marvel had failures. The Marvel Studios were not all hits. The Incredible Hulk was not a well-received movie.
Mm-mm. See, that's what I'm saying. You got to get deep with, Banner and the Hulk. One, you probably need to up the intelligence on the Hulk if you want to do so the Hulk movie. And like, even, like when Peter David was writing the Hulk, I mean, you probably remember this. I mean, he had scenes with like Banner in his own head talking to the Gray Hulk and stuff. And,
oh, that's that's
stuff like that. You need some kind of communication between Banner and the Hulk that kind of like really get into that struggle, take it beyond the physical.
And exactly. And for what it's worth, that's something we've never seen.
Mm-mm.
See, we actually got that in the TV show.
Kinda, yeah.
When Banner Wood during the marriage episode which I think you were with me on that episode, and he's going into his own head to confront the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea, and so you have this established idea how you could approach that, but we've never seen it in a movie. And I don't know if we're going to see it in Thor, although they do say we're having a slightly more intelligent Hulk in Thor. Because I remember they were like, there was this big discussion when they were writing the script and they were working, and that's the thing about these movies is they're still writing the script as they're shooting, which is a crazy idea sometimes, but I get it. And they're saying, it's this big debate with us is how much do we want the Hulk to talk? How much should the Hulk be front brain, if you will? The idea of the Hulk as a back brain creature is great, but the idea but if you want the Hulk to be the Hulk, he has to be more front brain.
Yeah, and I mean, how much can you care about a character who doesn't talk when especially when he's CGI?
Yeah, I don't care about Black Bolt at all. Just to throw some shade at the Inhumans.
This is a man who loved Powerless, but he's scared of the Inhumans, and I don't blame you.
Well, you know why? But you know what? This is the thing about Powerless. And here's what I'll say about Powerless. Powerless had a low bar. It's a comedy, so it's supposed to be silly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, "Oh, it's too silly," it's like it is a comedy. Like Damage Control, like Squirrel Girl, like Gwenpool. It's a comedy. Oh, speaking of which, did you? No, you didn't get Brave New World, did you?
No.
Good book. Just to talk a little comics here. Brave New World. I don't want to say it's my pick. Honestly, this week was there was some good stuff out this week. Doctor Strange was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I really love Doctor Strange, but Brave New World was very good with the Return of the Invaders, and you get this again this idea that fascism has been permeating the Marvel universe since the beginning, because you get a great scene in there where basically Namor says, let's sense, as he's being, because Namor is apparently getting attacked by his own people because he's sort of in a truce with Hydra. Because he doesn't feel Atlantis can withstand Hydra. He feels that, and not for nothing, Atlantis, it's been decimated. It's had a lot of problems. So they're sitting there seeing a resurgent Hydra led by Steve Rogers, and Namor's making these choices. And for what it's worth, Namor is a king, which is just fascism by heredity. In fact, most fascist regimes tend to be heretic.
I know where you're going. Yeah, handed down.
Yeah. And so there is a great scene where one of his guards is saying, we have to deal with these insurgents. And he says, yes, I know what you'll say. Choose, increase, this, more restrictions, more checkpoints, and, silence some of our more controversial artists and poets. And you're waiting for him to say, but that's not what we do. And he doesn't. And when Jim Hammond and Toro come to meet with him, is like, you think I'm going to let Rogers know that I had his two most wanted felons in my kingdom and I let them go? Yeah.
Do you think that's the big point that they're going to say is like, the one man that Namor fears is Steve Rogers, especially one who's gone to the dark side?
Yeah. Although there's kind of a good point in this, which is like when Hammond, as he's being captured, tells Namor, "You're the villain, Namor. You're the villain." And Namor says, "You just realized that?" Because not for nothing, Namor has always been a villain. Yes, he sometimes gets heroic, but he's much like Doctor Doom. He has always been a villain. Much like Black Bolt, much like all of the royalty, the only exception, the only good guy king in the entire Marvel universe is Black Panther. And even he starts out as a villain. Because when you first meet Black Panther, he is invited to the Fantastic Four just so he can kick their butts. Now that I have totally Batmaned you, back before Batmaning was a thing, really, Batman Black Panthers everyone. You really want to talk about the lineage of the guy who just is 6 steps ahead and beats everyone? That was Black Panther. Long before Batman ever, pulled out his thermal bead long underwear and his bat shark repellent and, that little piece of kryptonite you keep just in case you got to go up against you, Superman. You have Black Panther in his first appearance totally defeating each member of the Fantastic Four in single combat. With officially no powers, although basically super soldier serum, although an all natural version of it that would kill someone who was not of his exact, lineage. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that's how he starts, because kings are not good people. Because even the best king is still someone who puts his view above others.
Well, yeah. I mean, at any time one person says my point of view, my thoughts are better than a whole country.
Yeah. Well, I always say that's the inherent problem with politics, is that every politician is a person who woke up one day and said, "You know what? I should be in charge." And the first thing you should realize, anytime anyone says I should be in charge, that's probably the worst person possible to be in charge. But of course,
yeah. But at least with like our Congress and our Senate, I mean, you're part of a group. You're not like running for president. You need somebody to steer the ship. So at least you're like, exactly. I'll be part of this group, and we'll get him.
Well, exactly, and that is why democracy actually works long term. And I think right now we're in a moment that is like the greatest test for democracy ever in American history, and we've seen it in England now. We saw it in France. Is this idea that, as fascistic as we all are in our hearts, someone to just As Homer Simpson once said, can't somebody else do it? If you remember when Homer ran for sanitation commissioner, and that was his motto, can't somebody else do it? And that is the core of our fascistic ideal, is we just don't want to have to worry about it. We want someone else to come in, someone else to deal with it, someone else to take care of it, so long as it ain't us. And Joel, you got an egg roll too if you want it. And with Homer Simpson, that was the idea: is I want someone else to do it. Mm-hmm. And what he said to the people that elected him, you want someone else to do this for you. You want to not have to worry. You want it taken care of. You want the trash to be gone, and you don't care how it gets gone. And you expand that to humanity, then that is fascism. There are people that we don't like, and we want them gone. We don't care how they get gone. We just want them gone. And when you are a king, you are someone who says, I know who needs to be gone, and I don't care what anyone else says. Democracy, in republicanism, what you have is you have people getting together and say, okay, well, let's say you're a good guy to represent our ideas, them, but then they've got everyone else who's got another guy who's been picked by them to say represent their ideas, and everyone argues and fights, and nothing gets done except very slowly, incrementally, and that's for the best. Because anytime people make decisions quickly and rapidly, they're always wrong. Anytime you've ever been thinking, do I go left or right, left or right, left or right, and then you go left, and it was always right you were supposed to go. Anytime you are driving down the road and you come to a fork and you have to take it, and you're like, wait, which way was it? What's the way? Or like if you don't know what you're doing, or you're looking at like two things and you're not sure which to pick, and you go, I'll grab that one, and immediately you go, oh, that was the wrong one. Very rarely do you choose and choose wisely when you have to choose right then. It's always something that if you actually talk to other people, you may still not like what you choose, but at least you come to it in a little more rational of a method. Because at the end of the day, nothing you choose is ever going to be good. If there's anything we can say about life, is nothing you choose is ever good.
Mm-hmm. True.
Okay. I feel like we haven't talked much about anything except for my crazy rants in politics and my crazy family.
No, we've actually hit a lot tonight. I mean, the whole MCU stuff Kenneth brought up, Cap and Widow and Black Panther, all the DC movie talk, the Hulk talk, comic books, Batmaning versus Black Panthering.
Black Panther did it first. Batman is just a poor man's Black Panther. That's all there is to it. So let me finish off with this. There was one last thing I wanted to talk about, which was an interesting thing. We got the previews for the next Secret Empire out, which opens up with Steve Rogers in that place where he doesn't know where he is, and he's fighting all these villains from his past. He fights Batroc and a couple other guys, and his journey by two other people whom we don't know who they are. They look a lot like Rick Jones and Sam Wilson. But neither one identifies as such, and neither one actually identifies as anything. It's very interesting. It seems to be this idea of, as Cap is working through this, he's being joined by parts of his past, parts of who he is, and who makes us who we are but the people in our lives. Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't know who he is, but these people who are so important in his life don't know who they are either. And now they're all going to move forward. And, we got this interesting thing. Alex Ross is doing a cover for Secret Empire, and it has a lot of references to the new, what's it called?
Generations?
Oh, it is called Generations.
Yeah, I think so.
I want to think it's called Generations, but I don't remember. No, I have no idea where they put the sauces. It might be up in the cupboard. Ask Jessie, she'll know. Yeah, but as they're going into these generations, and what's interesting about that cover is it has the question in classic golden silver age fashion: what is the vanishing point? Which, not for nothing, reminds me what was the one where they had the first army of Supermen that could only be assembled for one time in all of history to defeat the Anti-Monitor, some kind of anti-life equation. I forget which reboot of the DC universe that was. It was one of the recent ones.
Was it like Multiversity or something? But
no, it was before Multiversity. It was the one where they established the one just before the New 52. Because it was the one where they
Flashpoint or Final Crisis?
Final Crisis. It was Final Crisis. And in that, they go to this dimension where all of the retconned out of history characters exist.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, with the Vanishing Point and whatever Cap is in, it reminds me of that. This idea of these beings who were heroes, but who have been written out of history. In a real way, Cap has been written out of history.
Well, you know what? There actually is a Vanishing Point in the DC universe. It's like a place outside of time where, like, the Time Masters hang out, like Rip Hunter, the actual character Wave Rider. I wonder if Steve Rogers is going to be a part of this, or if he's going to set something up or someone's going to set something up where they're going to come up with some kind of team or somebody, kind of like that, or Legends of Tomorrow, where, like, if somebody's messing with reality, we've got some big reality changing things, Secret Wars, the whole thing with Kobik and Cap. If we're going to have, like, somebody stationed outside of time and space to keep an eye on the actual universe, the actual multiverse or whatever.
Well, interestingly enough, and again, this is a point in that Brave New World book, which I think I'm going to pick up the next one, because this seems to be, they always have other stories in the Marvel Universe book, which is, here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. That Gwenpool is in it is really interesting to me, because it suggests that Gwenpool is in this part of the universe and is still altering reality wherever she goes. Because that, I think, is what is the most important thing, and what I think was the key of the Gwenpool versus Deadpool story was they showed that both of them have this ability to alter their own fictional reality. So that when they're there, when they walk into the room, everybody else's fictionality becomes exacerbated, and their behaviors become tropistic, if you will. Because in this bit, she is like been captured by Hydra, and they're doing this like propaganda podcast, and the guy who is Peter Pena, who is the the news anchor who's been forced after being attacked by Hydra to give his propaganda podcast broadcast in a very poor way, not as slick as most of the stuff we see Hydra doing right now. And they bring in Gwenpool, but of course everything is so fictionalized, and it is interesting in the way it plays out. And I don't know where it's all going. I do blame Franklin for all of it. Who lets a 7-year-old child rebuild the universe when the last universe he rebuilt didn't work?
That's what I'm saying.
Remember that. It's like, is that like, we all know Franklin doesn't do details.
That's what I'm saying. You need somebody watching time and space. Maybe that they keep teasing that maybe that big return is going to be the Fantastic Four. Maybe they're going to keep an eye on reality.
Well, Valeria was yelling at Reed for not being as watchful on Franklin, that Franklin was playing too fast and loose with the laws of physics. Brilliant fan theory, Phil. I'm going to say that's what's going to happen. Okay, Phil, if anyone wants to talk crazy fan theories, if anyone wants to talk the news and reviews in the Marvel, DC, and all universes combined, we didn't even get to talk about the man who killed Don Quixote, something I actually really wanted to talk about, at least briefly. Terry Gilliam is finally finishing The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, a film 40 years in the making. It speaks to me because I just finished my film. I just got the best cut yet with sound and music added. I Know You Want This, starring Tatiana Cott. Watch for it in theaters, someday. Tatiana Cott, who should have been playing Medusa, except now seeing how bad Inhumans is, I'm kind of glad they didn't cast her, because she doesn't need that on her record. And sadly, I haven't been able to watch, because I have had to catch up on everything. I haven't been able to watch my own movie because I'm still trying to watch everything else for these podcasts. But If people would like to reach out to you and talk about all these crazy things, Phil, how can they reach you?
If you want to talk to me personally, you can email me nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. You could reach us on Superconnectivity, superconnectivityblog@gmail.com, of course. Facebook.com/Superconnectivity Podcast, Twitter @SuperConnectPod. We're even on Instagram, Superconnectivity. But we're always talking about capes and lunatics because we're here now. Follow us on all social media, but especially follow us on Facebook for Capes and Lunatics, because we're gonna have Facebook Live content every week. I just put the first one up last night, and I know Lilith and Tyler are gonna take turns every week, switching back and forth between music and movie reviews. So follow that. I did comics already.
Apple juice.
Sure.
That's as far as they know.
All right, Charlie. If people would like to discuss drinking apple juice with you,
you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters. I might live tweet something someday again. Now that the Hulk's gone, I don't know what to do, but that's CHARLIEESSCR. Look for 2 E's in the middle for quality. And Phil, what's our phone number for Capes and Lunatics?
Oh, it's 614-382-2737.
There you go. And what does that spell?
614-38 Capes.
There we go. See? Got to get that branding in there. Like Hydra. All about the branding. That's why Hydra's ruling the world, not Capes and Lunatics, Phil.
Hey, speaking of branding, we have T-shirts now. Go to. I know I have it pinned on Facebook and Twitter. It's pinned at the top of those pages. Follow us now. You can get your official Capes and Lunatics T-shirts, phone cases. I think they have coffee mugs. Check it out. Branding. Hell Capes.
Yes. Hell Capes. Yes. Uh-oh. My son wants me to stop, and he's holding me at gunpoint. So now, okay. So now that Tristan has pulled a gun on me, we're going to say thank you for connecting with us, ladies and gentlemen. Please connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.